copywritten production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.
Good afternoon. I call this exchange meeting to order. Please rise and join in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the exchange meeting for June. I'm Kat Fimmel, and I'm the president of the 2024 Board of Directors. This meeting is audio and video recorded by the RCSC and made available to our members. Okay. Please silence your electronic devices. I will try to remember to remind you to turn them back on at the end of the meeting. I'll begin by introducing your board of directors. Vice President Karen McAdam.
Good afternoon.
Secretary Connie Jo Rickmeyer.
Good afternoon.
Treasurer Anita Borski.
Hello.
Director Steve Collins.
Hello, everyone.
Director Chris Nettesheim.
Hello, everybody.
Director Tom Foster.
Good afternoon.
Director Preston Keiss.
Hello.
Director James Ruff.
Good afternoon.
And our timekeeper for today is Secretary Rickmeyer. Introducing the management staff, Matthew D. Lazansky, the general manager.
Howdy.
Kevin McCurdy, support and finance senior leader.
Good afternoon.
Mike Dearmeyer, the non-golf senior leader.
Hello.
Brian Duthu, golf senior leader.
Hello.
Debbie Giles, assistant to GM. And Marcia Johnson, the board coordinator.
Good afternoon.
We also recognize our audiovisual engineers, Alan Kleinhans, Doreen Rafferty, Carly Young, and joining the crew, Miguel Jackson. As always, we thank the Sundial staff for preparing the room for us. Next up is the topics list. If you do not have a copy of the topics list, it should be available on the back table. Feel free to grab one. First up is, what is the latest on the Thunderbird property? Mr. General Manager.
Hello, everyone. The latest on the Thunderbird property is we continue to negotiate with the broker for them, and we are probably in round 4, looking toward find some sort of either acceptable alternative or one that isn't. So we're working toward it, and we're getting closer.
Thank you. What is the status of the library lease?
That hasn't changed from the last meeting. We had some good meetings. There's a meeting planned for next week and the week after that, so we should be making progress. As I said in the last meeting, that don't worry about the June 30th. There's a 6-month automatic options that are in place.
Where are we with the 5-year plan?
The 5-year plan is virtually complete. There's one more meeting of the 5-year team, and that will take place later this week. And then the actual plan will be turned over to the long-range planning entire committee, as well as the budget, finance, and administration, as well as the board. And this is be the first time we've had that. It has the 5-year plan for the operating and for the capital, and a 10-year plan for the PIF.
I know you've been studying the fan situation. Do we have any additional information on the fans?
The fans are as they are. We're asking people that have issues to talk to the center leader.
Speaking of center leaders, do we have a list of center leaders, and have we been able to post that to the website?
The center leaders are putting up some signage in each center. I don't know that we've posted it to the website yet, but we can certainly do that. It was on the organizational chart without the name, so we'll put it up with the names.
Thank
We're
you.
also working on some other information about the centers in general. And if I have a chance, I wanted to make some comments at this exchange, too.
On that issue?
No, just in general. We usually do that at the beginning of the meeting, but wherever it fits in your agenda, that would be good.
Do you think it fits here?
I think it's probably as good as any.
Okay, go ahead.
So sometimes we ad-lib a few things, so I just wanted to say thank you to all of you that are here. I know our numbers dwindle in the summer, but also hello to all those people that are watching on the internet tomorrow and beyond. I just have a few things I wanted to say before we get rolling. You know, as we take our break, this is probably the last exchange meeting until September as well. This is just one more board meeting. But the first thing that's probably been on everyone's mind, I've been asked about it regularly, is where are we on the Mountain View? So I want to say that we've selected an architect and engineering firms and to get started on the Mountain View Recreation Center and the Performing Arts Center. The firm is Tri-Arc Architecture and Design, and they're located here in Phoenix. We'll be working with them to get a contract in place and lay out an initial schedule to get rolling over this summer. Our goal is to have something for the board and the community to look at in the fall. And as you know, this is the first step in a very long process, but at least we're started now. For whatever time this is, we've been starting this. Second, and this is a very important thing, we continue to see an increase in people behaving badly, both in words and actions, up to and including people being arrested off of our property. I've mentioned this before, and now, like you see in many places, we're going to have some RCS signs warning folks that we do not tolerate verbal or physical abuse toward any member, guest, visitor, or employee. Violators may be asked to leave, face disciplinary action, or arrest. I know that none of us like perhaps the situation the world's in, but the filters seem to be gone. People seem to be behaving worse and worse, and we can't allow that to continue on our property. So when we see it, we're going to take swift and immediate action. Just part of the world we live in. Third.
What evidence do you have?
I'm sorry, I'm speaking right now. You'll have your chance to speak in a few minutes.
Please, you'll have an opportunity to make comments later.
Third, the new welcome desk at Fairway, temporary as it is up and running. It's located right in front of the main sliding doors, and we plan to make a similar adjustment at Marinette Center with the welcome there as well. And just as we asked for suggestions with what to do with the Bell Indoor Spa area that's going to get repurposed into something, we're asking the same member and staff input for what should we do with the old welcome desk area at Fairway. Perhaps a coffee and juice bar with some seating, maybe a mingle venue. We've heard that asked about before. Let us know what you think. And lastly, I want to speak about communications. Communications is a hot topic, as it should be. Over the last 6 months, we have rebuilt, expanded, and reorganized our entire communications staff with the help of our HR team, Mr. Non-Golf, Mike Diermeyer, and Maureen Almazan, our club's activities and communications leader. So we have, here at the camera, Carla Young, 25 years TV news editor, producer, experiencing writing, producing, filming, and editing video content, including for YouTube, with experience in how to use the YouTube algorithms. Alan Klein hands over here at the board. Education and computer science, recording engineer, 40 years AV design, install, live audio engineering, low voltage wiring, a tireless team member who's been helping us for years. We have Doreen Rafferty, 40 years in producing, staging, directing, and lighting for live shows, certificates in color analysis, makeup artistry, and costume design, Educator of the Year in dance and musical theater, communication and theater arts. She's a backup vocalist, video participant, and collaborated on work for MTV, a board member of the Theater and Arts Commission, and has written for newspapers and done voiceovers. Miguel, who was welcomed earlier, Miguel Jackson, working in television since 2007, both in the US and Canada. Many live sports productions, including the NHL, the NFL, Major League Baseball, ASU. He was the in-house technical director for the Arizona Cardinals, with 7 years of sound production and setup with TAD Management's venue production package, using 6 cameras and an entire 3 walls of video. Aaron Devandry, another relatively new hire, experienced in the director of marketing, client and project management skills, communicates effectively with technical and executive and business audiences, has done web development and designing, 20 years of experience in planning and developing marketing campaigns, and has developed over 600 websites, including expertise in email and social media marketing, online reputation management, and SEO, also known as search engine optimization. Maureen Edwards, singer and vocalist, here already with us, writer. She's written articles for both the old Sun Views and what we now call the Sun City Update. She's got experience with musical bands, doing setups and teardowns and sound checks. And of course, Jolyn Higgins, with her wealth of experience that she's sharing with us as she moves to retirement this summer. So I mention all these people because with this great group of talent, I'm pleased to announce the new RCSC Media Studio, and it's taking shape right here in the Sundial Rec Center across the breezeway, where the old Mac Lab was, which those folks have recently merged with the computer club at Fairway Rec Center. The RCSC Media Studio will help us communicate effectively with the residents of Sun City and offer a variety of ways for residents to receive information. It's really exciting to have the people in place and a good place for the people to work and to collaborate and to create. This is going to revolutionize the communication venue here. It is going to make a difference in all of our lives. It should make it easier to find what you need to find and know what's going on. I've been working on this since my second week here back in October, and it's rewarding to see it come to fruition. I mean, we're going to make some changes with where the equipment's at. I mean, we've got our equipment up here next to a transformer in the booth. It should never be there. So I'll be sharing more details about what's planned in this in the future. But it is exciting, and it is going to really, really help everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And with those comments, if you notice the Sun City update for this month, it has you meet your directors. Perhaps you would consider, for those who are a little old school, to put in a section about the audiovisual engineers and as you described here.
Exactly.
Going back to the topics list, next up is the shade in the garden club. Were we able to get that moved?
Yes, they were done.
Ways to deliver the Sun City update, now that I just mentioned it, have we given additional thought to getting those into the hands of our members?
The success, but the duress of the January delivery has made us rethink that door to door. I think we've taken a look at perhaps doing some bulk mailing, perhaps some shorter version in a newsletter, but we really haven't come to a conclusion. We are studying that, I would say. Is that fair, Mike? Yeah.
Thank you. You already addressed the question about potential uses for the indoor spa at Bell, that we are asking members to give some consideration as to what we should put in that space.
Correct. We're still going to have to do some work up in the infrastructure, the walls and the ceiling to repair the damage from having that indoor spa in there over the years, but we'll get that sealed up and we'll look for the best way to use it that the members want.
Thank you. That's our topics, so I will turn now to our directors and ask if any of them have any announcements they would like to make. Vice President McAdam.
So yes, simply on behalf of the Elections Committee, I'd like to make sure you're all aware of the fact that a new election season will be upon us before too long. Last week, we had the first candidate information session for anybody that's interested in considering the possibility of running for one of 5 open seats on the board. Election day is always the first Tuesday in December. That's December 10th. It's not too early to begin thinking about that. There are candidate packets that are available at the corporate offices, so if anybody's interested, all you have to do is go down there with your member card and be verified as a member in good standing, and you'll get a packet that has lots of more information. And let me just point out that there is one more candidate information session that's scheduled. I think it's September 24th, Marcia, isn't it? Yes. September 24th. So after the dog days of summer, there will be another opportunity. And that's just a time when current board members are available in a forum, a very informal forum setting, to answer questions that you might have about what serving on the board entails.
Treasurer Borski.
Yes, I have a message from our foundation, our Sun City Foundation, of which I'm the vice president. We are going to be expanding our foundation into several new areas in the fall and are looking for people who have experience with fundraising, grant researching, grant writing, nonprofit experience. If you are interested in doing something like that, please see me or drop off a brief resume in the board office, and Marcia will collect those for me. Thank you.
Any other announcements? Okay, we will, Marcia.
I just wanted to add that they need a valid driver's license too when they come to pick up their packet for candidacy.
Noted. Okay, before we move to open the floor to our members, please be mindful of the time clock, which is 3 minutes. There are many people who might like to speak today. Once you have spoken, please let everyone else have their opportunity to speak before coming back up a second time. And with that, we will open the floor to our members.
Good afternoon. My name is Mary Shopper. My number is 128442. First question, and I'm just going to knock off the questions and then we'll see what kind of answers we get. Why are we considering the Thunderbird property? And with that Thunderbird property, are there any document assurances for asbestos and the use of that facility for COVID patients? And what assurances we have for that, to even be considered to buy the place. And it's already been vacant for 9 years. Okay, moving on to libraries. Yes. This month to month, we're negotiating. I'm real hesitant about that because I think what's going to happen at the end, I've already got an answer this morning, which was we'll shut down Fairway and everybody can go to Bell. That's not acceptable.
Excuse me for a moment. Who said we'll be shutting it down and going to Bell?
You suggested.
Me?
Yes.
I did not. I suggested no such thing. Please move on.
We had a conversation up here, Famel. Okay, the 5-year plan.
We may have discussed the fact that the vice president and other members are engaged
Stop
in
the clock, please.
negotiation. Okay, and that is all we discussed.
And what I requested is, what is the alternative? If this contract sometime, somewhere, finally gets not signed, then what's the alternative? And nobody wants to talk about that.
Would you care to talk about it?
So,
I'd like to know if the 5-year plan will be published to the community, or if that will be silent. I would like to know, what is the major expenditure for 2025? Because I got my assessment on Saturday, and assessments have gone up 10%. So I would like to know what is driving the budget. Or is it in writing somewhere that says a minimum increase will be 10% every year? In reference to the new media group, I applaud all the work that's been done, but I'm hesitant as to how many people of the 39,000 in Sun City are internet savvy and will participate and will understand and will be taught how to use it. And Mountain View, the community, you're looking at something in the fall. I'd like to know what that means. Does that mean October, November? Let's have a date on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Mary, I assume that you're interested in hearing some answers, and I respect the fact that you wanted to get your questions in before your time had expired. But I think I could just say I can assure you that the library leases will be signed. There is absolutely no possibility that a library lease will not be signed. So both libraries will be covered by a lease that will be a 5-year lease, and we can promise you that with 100% assurity.
That's good news.
So,
What are the demands of making that it's not been signed?
well, I mean, I could give you a couple of things, but it kind of gets down into the weeds about some things.
What are we getting out of it for not signing?
Well, so
You've just been told that the negotiation team believes they will be successful in negotiating a 5-year contract, is what I suggested to you when we were talking earlier. Okay? You're worried about options if we don't sign. We have every reason to believe we will sign a 5-year contract. That's the end product here of this process. You want a date certain. Let the negotiation teams do their job.
So perhaps I could just give you a couple things that will help you to understand that one of the things is that Maricopa County Library System has offered us security personnel to be serving at both of our libraries. Well, that has not been part of the lease in the past. Okay, so what are the conditions for that? What kind of certificates do these people have? What are the times that are involved and so forth? Another issue is simply that not all of the Bell Library space has been covered by the lease agreement. There's actually some space that's not included in there that we didn't know was the case. We're concerned about what about insurance certificates that go along with that? What if somebody reaches up on a shelf and pulls down a shelf over the top of them and they happen to be in a part of the library that's not part of that lease agreement? Okay, so the things that we're working towards, and another thing is simply what the custodial efforts look like. We have discovered that our staff has had to deal with some very, very frightful conditions in our bathrooms. So we have been working on helping our staff to understand that they don't just have to be the good people that put on the gloves and the hazmat kind of stuff in order to deal with that, but understanding that they need to be writing reports every time they find bloody rags and needles and empty alcohol containers. So we are working through some of the things like that, and I assure you that the final result is going to be a better lease than we have ever had. So perhaps those kind of details are helpful for you. Yeah. I'm sorry, you asked about the Thunderbird property? Well, I'd be happy to turn that over to somebody else, or is there somebody that would like to respond to that?
Actually, I'm going to take a moment to try and respond to that. There are several reasons for considering the Thunderbird property. One of them is we have a future project for placing our administrative staff. We've attached dollars to that. And it may be more cost-effective for us to acquire an existing building and make some modifications to that building for that same amount of money. So that's one of the many things we're looking at. There's many reasons for considering that property. We also can protect ourselves by acquiring that property and keeping it from being acquired by someone else who may turn it into something we do not desire. Okay? So that's an important reason for considering it. We're still in the consideration stage.
So if I could answer another question that you asked, you wanted to know if there are document assurances. So let me just give you a little bit of an update here. The seller has provided us with a 5-inch thick binder with all kinds of assessments and analyses. Seriously, it's this thick, and it's got hundreds of pages of information in it. On top of that, we actually hired an appraiser so that we weren't just relying on information that somebody else had provided to us, but that we could choose the person, the company. That company has provided us with 155 pages of documentation about that, which we have tried to pore through, looking for all the critical information. So I think that in terms of, you're wanting to know if there are document assurances, we will be very well informed if we move forward with this property about what exactly we can expect.
It doesn't make sense to go up to that property when we have 20 to 30% extra space.
So, ma'am, that may very well be your position on that. The board thinks differently about that, and I think that the board probably has a broader sense. We can't take reservable space at the social halls at Lakeview and turn that into an office space, or turn the social hall at Marinette into an office space, or turn the yoga room in another place into office space. You don't want to take your office space that's all currently located, for instance, in the Lakeview, the Donut building, and put it in 8 different rec centers because we happen to have available space that is reservable for other purposes. So we're not talking about adding additional office space. We're talking about replacing office space that we have. So the Lakeview building is 44,000 square feet. Okay, the Thunderbird building currently has 48,500 square feet approximately of space, of which we would be demolishing 20% in order to provide for adequate parking, which means it would bring it down to about 38,000 square feet. It's almost a 1-to-1 correspondence to the building that we have at Lakeview that we would no longer need to have at all. So Lakeview right now is in a plan to be renovated. It's the last rec center that hasn't been renovated since it was built, apart from Grand, of course, and at a cost of $30 million in 2030, 31, and 32, something along those lines. If we do that, the way that we did that at Fairway, we would have to tear down the whole thing, figure out interim situations for everybody that is currently at Lakeview during the construction process, build something, and then move everybody back in. We may be much, much better off moving to a place where we can move people out of Lakeview into a highly desirable location in a beautifully redone building, and then not have to build new office space at Lakeview. So those are some considerations that are out there. There are no final decisions that are being made, but it's not, we're not just doing this on a whim. I would like to try to convince you. We are actually looking very, very carefully at what we have, what we could have, what the difference would be, and what would be the difference if instead of going downstairs into a subterranean cardholder services building,
with no windows in it. Instead, you were able to pull up in front of a building under a portico, walk right in, and be able to go to cardholder services in a beautiful space with high ceilings and with lots and lots of light, and it not to cost us any interim rental agreements. We wouldn't have to say, well, we have to put cardholder services someplace else while we're rebuilding Lakeview. So this is not a finished product. We don't know that it's going to happen, but we think that it's worth pursuing, and we think it's worth pursuing carefully, and we also think that it actually, in the long run, might be an enormous cost-saving measure for us. We might not have to spend $30 million redoing Lakeview in 2030. So I'm just putting that out there as some ideas, and ideas that are being considered.
No. Excuse me, this isn't?
She's waiting.
Excuse me, this is not a business meeting. Thank you. I'm going to try to continue to answer some of the questions because I hope the other members would want these answers as well. There was a comment made about the 2025 budget and budget projects, and I want to assure everyone that just like last year when the board opened the finance process to the membership, this year's financial process will be open to the membership, and you'll be able to participate as actively as you wish during that process. A comment was made. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I would like to just add, I think we've mentioned this in this place before, but the budget is going to be due from management to the Budget and Finance Committee in the middle of September. That has never happened before, I don't think, at least not as long as I've been around. So that budget is going to be made available. It's being worked on right now. It will go through that process of being evaluated by the Budget and Finance Committee, and in October, or maybe even late September, we will be having town halls where we will lay out for you, this is the proposed budget for 2025. So there will be an opportunity for everybody to see the numbers, to see what the capital projects list looks like, to see what the PIF budget looks like, or the PIF forecast looks like, to look what our operational budget, you'll be able to see all of those numbers. They are also will be available on our website. So we're trying to make this something that you have a lot of exposure to, so that if there is an increase in the assessments next year, you will know exactly why.
Speaking of assessments, it's been suggested that someone opened their assessment and found a 10% increase. Mr. DeLazansky, are you familiar with that?
There's been no increase other than the one approved last year.
Okay. Sorry to have kept you waiting so long. Please proceed.
Thank you.
Please proceed.
My name is Lori Siddharth. Hi, everybody. My number is 160054 if you need that. And I'm here to speak about the AC for the Vintage Vehicle Club. It was, for me, one of the stellar clubs to join when I moved into Sun City. And it serves a lot of people. And the age membership goes from just barely making it into Sun City all the way into their 90s. And it's an active social club as well as restoration club. And there are several members here, if you guys want to stand up and support vintage vehicles. There's a lot of people who use this club on an almost daily basis and show up, not just for working on their cars, but for the camaraderie. I myself am crawling under a 51 International truck, and I've had great support from master mechanics, and men and women both work on their vehicles there. Now, it says here, give a thought to putting air conditioning in the Vintage Vehicle Club at Grand, reevaluating the need for AC if the evap cooling system is functioning properly. So an evap system can work, but when it's in a garage with a 30-foot ceiling and metal doors, it does not work well. It has a thin roof, not much insulation, and I've heard it said that they're hesitating the idea of AC because they want to mount it on the roof, and the roof isn't strong enough. But there's no reason they couldn't engineer a pylon system to lift it above the ground and still have it strong and secure and attached. It's just too warm in there in the summer to work on cars in the afternoon. And whether you hold a little thermometer up to the air coming out and it reads that it's a certain degree, by the time it drops down 30 feet, it is not working well enough to maintain the club comfortably. It's a great club. It's a really fun place to be, and I invite you all. Thank you. Anything anybody else wants to say from the club? Okay, well, thank you so much for your time. I hope you consider this for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Collins.
Yes, Connie, you want to fill her in on some of this stuff?
Mr. DeLazansky, this air conditioner issue has been ongoing for some time.
Correct.
And we've received quotes anywhere from $750,000 to $1 million to put this air conditioning system in?
Yes, that's why in the comments that are distributed, it says that we're going back and looking at the EVAP system that was originally designed for that kind of space, and the issue is that it wasn't necessarily installed correctly, and so we're looking at what we can do to fix that and give it a chance to work. Typically in a big bay like that with big doors that open and close, you wouldn't go to an AC system anyway. You would use some kind of EVAP, as most car dealers do. So we're busily working on that, and we're not going to have it in place for this summer, obviously, but we are using our onboard talent here in Connie to go through everything and look at where the mistakes were made in its original installation. And we remedy those and give it a try. It may work just fine. I can't say until we give it a try, and we have to spend some money to do that.
Thank you. Director Rickmeyer, did you want to comment?
Okay, people tell me I go into the weeds, so raise your hand if you wind up thinking I'm in the weeds. There was a different engineering firm that met at the Vintage Vehicles, I want to say Wednesday. I was part of that. In a nutshell, the existing equipment that is up there, while it could handle the capacity, it just isn't great equipment. It was lowballed, so it's lowball equipment. The doors, yes, they're an issue. The rolling doors like that are uninsulated, so that's part of an issue. I guess it is being looked at. It would mean a new system in some form or capacity. There have been quotes. The engineering firm is going to take a second look at it. I just want to let people know that if this had been me designing it, you wouldn't be having a 70-degree space or a 75-degree space. It's a garage. So I would have designed it so that on a hot day, it would be somewhere around 85 degrees. So I understand that that might be a little warm, but it's a garage. And I just want you to be aware that steps are being taken. I'm not part of that design team, but I will be there to follow along and see what can be done to squeeze the most that we can out of the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, ma'am.
Good afternoon. My name is Betty Bishop. My number is 140308. And I'm just disappointed that you're getting rid of the punch cards, because personally, I'm retired now. I don't want to have to go on my computer anymore. I check my emails once every 2 or 3 weeks. And so I have 7 punch cards that I know I'm not going to be able to use in a year. And I was going to buy 2 more in March, and then in April I was going to buy 2 to 4 more because I didn't want to have to deal with the computer. And then when I went in to buy the 2 in March, the lady at Lakeview said they're going to discontinue them and then they'll expire within a year. Well, when I bought my punch cards, I was under this understanding there was no expiration date. And on the punch card, it says no expiration date. So now I can't understand how you could tell me that my cards are going to expire.
Well, we also told you if you could not use the cards within that time period, you would be credited that amount to your online account.
Okay, and so like when we when we go to bring a guest, when we have to use the online account, do we have to go, every time we use it, have to pay the $250? Or can you put, like, have an account and just say, buy $20 worth of punches, so that we're not doing $250 here and $250 there?
Mr. Diozansky?
It's per day, so yes.
So every time you want to use it, you have to go on your computer, because I have a computer, and I know some people who don't have computers, and then there's even more people who don't have printers.
We have made arrangements for that with the kiosks at several locations.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And if I could just mention, there's no need to have a printer. You don't need to have a printer for this, because all you need to do is just to take a screenshot on your phone. And actually, if you have a screenshot on your phone, you can do that. If you don't like to do screenshots on your phone, you can just give your member number, but this would require you're going with your guest, because the staff will be able to look you up and see that they have the pass on record for that day. So there's no need for anybody to have a printer.
Okay, thank you.
Mike Modell, 146164, sorry. Anyway, I had a question on punch cards, so I want to get right up here and continue this. Today, when you go on and you reserve, it's for a specific day. So my question is, what's the refund policy if something happens where you don't get to use it that day? Or is it use it or lose it?
Currently, that is the case.
I think that
so normally you would go on the day that you were planning to use it and fill the information out. And if something were to come up between the time that you bought it and the time that you used it, the $250 is the price that you pay for that.
I understand you can also buy it for multiple days.
Yes, that's true.
So what you're suggesting is you have to go on every day and buy it for that day.
No, you don't. You can buy it for up to 7 consecutive days, but you can only buy for consecutive days right now, the way that the system is programmed. So you can buy it for 1 day or for 2 consecutive days or for 3 or anything up to 7.
Unless you're worried about not being able to use it on the
right,
6th,
exactly.
7th
It's
day.
sort of like if you bought a ticket to go to the movie theater and you ended up not being able to go, well, sorry, that's sort of the way life works.
Okay, well, I just wanted to know if it was an improvement to what we have currently or deterioration, and it's clearly not. Second comment, on the greenhouse sunshade. I want to give kudos to staff for moving quickly to get it manually closed and to get a contractor in to give a bid. But that seems to be where we are now. We haven't got a schedule, and I don't even know if the bid's been accepted. So do you have any input on that?
I don't. I know that it was difficult to find someone that would actually do the work, but I will definitely find out.
Well, he's here to do an assessment, and we've heard that he has supplied a bid with the stipulation that his availability is till the end of June, at which time other projects are already scheduled. So the clock is ticking.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Susan Bjork, 112-650. I'm just going to tag on to the punch cards. I know that we're trying to move into computerized and no cash. However, here's one thing to consider. I understand what this gentleman was saying, that when you have guests come, you're planning activities, and sometimes you get back from that activity and you may want to go or you may not want to go. And so, yes, let's just say I have a couple come and stay with us for a week's time. I can buy $35 worth of punches, 7 for the one person, 7 for the other, and take a gamble. But quite frankly, I don't think that's fair to your members, because I think that this policy was not only instituted because you want to go away from cash, but it was instituted because you weren't able to keep track of some people that were coming into the facilities. Now, when I presented the punch card, I was always asked for an ID or name of the person that I was bringing. I don't know if that information went into a black hole, but there's got to be a way that you could have kept track of that. But regardless, we've already moved to this new and improved system. So could there be a way that people could prepare and buy a pass for a certain individual, and if those days were not used, they only used certain days, could those dollars be refunded? Because a lot of people do have difficulty, and I know you said there's kiosks, Matthew, but the kiosks are not at every station or every facility yet. And so that's another impediment for some people. Me, I can go on. Am I happy about it? No, because I don't want to go on every day. I'd rather have the ability to say, hey, I've got 7 punches for you this week, and we can either use them or not use them. And not have to worry about, okay, we're going to, there's a lot of sightseeing that's done when visitors come in. And it's just restricting your members is what I'm trying to say. So if there's a way that we can figure out how to get back some of the flexibility in the old system, that would be a good thing to do. That's my comment. So I'll wait. I've got some other comments.
So I just wanted to respond to that. We're hearing you. We know that there are people that are not happy about the punch cards, and I'm allowing that to stand. But I do just want to point out 2 benefits that you might not have thought of. One of them is that if you lose a punch card, too bad. You have it in your swim bag or something and it gets destroyed. That doesn't happen with these online passes. You can't lose it. It's attached to your system. The other thing is that if you have a guest and you have a punch card, you actually physically have to go with them to the place where they're going to use that. If you have an online punch card, you don't have to, because we can track that that person's guest card is affiliated with a member who purchased it. So just so that you know, this is one of the upsides of it, is that if you, so in my situation, kids come, grandchildren, one grandchild isn't old enough to go swimming, the others are. Well, you know what, up until now, I would have had to go with my children and log them in with the punch card. Who stays home with the baby that's napping during that time? Okay, I don't have to do that anymore because they can track the system and they know that my son and daughter and granddaughter, who's old enough to swim, are able to go without my having to accompany them. So take advantage of that.
Yeah, just a real quick comment. Yeah, while that may be an improvement, and it is an improvement, we also have the day passes, so you could go up and buy a day pass and you wouldn't have to be with the person. So there's a detractor there. Not with day passes.
No. At the purchase of the day pass, you have to be there.
Sure.
So if they use it at multiple places during the day, that's true. But the first time, you have to go and be with them, and you no longer have to do that with an online pass.
Yeah, so that is a positive, but let's not forget about the other that I brought up.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes,
I'm Claudia Wilson, 145604. Regarding the homeless at the Fairway Library, whose responsibility is it to monitor behavior there? Is it RCSC's as the landowner or the libraries as the leaseholder? If it's the libraries, why are we butting in? Also, Maricopa County has designated all library branches as cooling centers, so everyone has the right to be there as long as they behave themselves. There is a conduct policy posted at every branch. And if anyone causes a problem, library staff can ask them to leave or call the sheriff, as they would for any disruptor. How is someone identified as homeless? Old clothes, dirty hair, maybe carrying an old duffel bag? That could describe me when I go to the fitness center to work out. I don't see the point in getting gussied up when I'm going to get sweaty. How would you like it if right now I went down the row of board members and management and made a snap judgment about each of your lives based on your appearance? Would that be okay, or would that be wrong? Woo-hoo.
Can you respond to that? Okay. So Claudia, I do have a couple of responses to you. There is a behavioral code for the library, and there is a behavioral code for RCSC properties, and they are not one and the same. So the behavioral codes that we use for RCSC are more restrictive than what the library does. So that's part of the negotiation process, actually, in this lease agreement, is how do we actually handle that? So there are times when somebody can get up and stand and rant on a table, and the librarian says you're not allowed to do that, and they stop doing it and maybe continue. We don't want that on our property. We don't allow that sort of behavior on our property. So there is a point at which we need to have that discussion, and we're in the process of having that. How do we do that? Not every library is designated a cooling center, so there is a heat relief network in Arizona, and up until now, our libraries both were designated as cooling centers. There are actually 4 different designations depending on the amount of services that are provided. The cooling center is the lowest of the 4. It means that you have air conditioning and you have a drinking fountain. The next level means that you have air conditioning, a drinking fountain, and bottled water, for instance. The next level up beyond that is that you're actually allowed to sleep indoors during opening hours, so you can curl up in the corner and sleep. And the 4th one is that they actually provide you with additional items that have been collected: food, clothing, medicine, and so forth. Okay, so there are different levels of that. We are no longer going to be listed as a cooling center, although we still do, obviously, during opening hours, provide air conditioning and a drinking fountain. So those things are there, but we're not going to be listed as a place that people know, oh, I can go there if that's what I want to have. But it's a public library, and if anybody wants to come, they're welcome to do that. So I don't think that there's anybody that's making decisions about people based on their appearances there. It's all based on behavior. So
See how easy that was? Transparency's our friend.
well, we haven't been trying to hide that. Thank you for asking and giving us an opportunity to explain that.
And it's also not the first time we've publicly provided that information. Next.
Good afternoon, board members and management staff. Joanne Greeny, 106-561. Last month, I spoke about making a request to have our Sun City update be mailed to every occupied residence. And to my surprise, it was actually put on the agenda here, so I appreciate somebody listening. And then on the comment for the action that you might want to have a subscription. So this is going to be a nickel and diming, in my humble opinion. I feel as though this update is really important, and I think we should make it a priority to have it in the hands of every resident. There's just so much information. I know I answer questions of my neighbors and friends all the time, and I say it's on page 4, but too often people don't look through it. And I hope that we're not going to give the excuse that we can't afford to mail this publication to every home. We've just hired 10+ middle management people. We're talking about possibly buying the building on 111th and Thunderbird. So obviously we've got money flowing, and I think that mailing this update to every home year-round is not a burden in our budget. Let's see, the subscription, no. And so I think that's it. And then when we do have an opportunity to hopefully talk about or vote on the Thunderbird property, I hope we don't purchase that. Our monthly assessment, our annual assessment is high enough, and if we buy that property, it's going to go up even more. And Mountain View has been on the agenda for a decade. I would love to see Mountain View have priority over most everything else. I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Diane Modell. Me?
Yeah, there's people who are in line, and you two jumped the line.
She was
standing. Go ahead, Don. Go ahead. Life's too short to be in a hurry. Go ahead.
Diane Modell, 145165. I belong to a club that has installed 15 to 20 cameras in there on the word that it's for safety. But really, the reason why they have put those cameras in there are to spy on us.
Which club is this, please?
I'm not going to say that out loud, but the reason why, they look at it every day to see if somebody's doing something wrong, if somebody has taken something. I've had several of my friends that have been kicked out of this club because they have been accused of stealing. It has cost thousands of dollars to put in these cameras and the security system. And it is not for security, it is not for safety, like they say. It is to spy on us. I no longer go in there very often because I don't want to be on camera, being watched all the time. I want to go in there and have fun with my friends, but I don't want to know that every day somebody is going through those cameras to see if somebody is doing something wrong.
And you're asserting that these cameras were put in by the RCSC?
No, they have been put in there by the club.
By the club?
What club is it?
Madam President.
Treasurer Borski.
I am the vice chair of the COC committee. Could you please see me afterward and let me know who this club is?
I have to leave in a few minutes. Do you want to meet me over there?
Sure.
Madam President.
Director Collins.
I'm Lori Jensen.
Excuse me one moment, Lori. I've identified Director Collins. Just give me one moment, please. Director Collins wishes to speak. Give me one moment, and I'll call on you. Director Collins.
Thank you.
He asked.
I've been working closely with a bunch of the clubs with the camera systems. And the Metal Shop, I'm going to say it right now, is one of them. And they have cameras both inside and out. And they are strictly there. They are there for safety. In the event something does get stolen or someone gets hurt, they put in their rules that 2 board members and the rec center may view the video to see what happened. But no one can watch this from home. No one can just come in and do this. And that's what they put in their rules, very strict controls, so that it is not in a violation of your
It's not in the rules. There's 0 words.
Excuse me, sir, you're out of order.
Well,
Mr. Collins, continue.
okay. I'll check with Larry on that, but they don't want infringement of your right of privacy. It is in case you get hurt, they can cover it, they can watch and see what happened. If something does get stolen, they can go back and look. But they have, if the rec center wants to view something, even they have to come in and get permission with the board members to see it, a tape for whatever reason. So it's not to spy on the people. And if it is happening and they are doing that in your club, please notify me. I'm in charge of the COC, and we will get to the bottom of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Collins. Yes, ma'am, proceed. Yes, ma'am, you.
Oh, okay. 15547.
Your name again?
And I'm Lori.
Thank you.
So just to add on to the camera thing, I'm an avid recreation goer. I'm mainly fairway, at least 3-4 days a week. And I have the camera thing I do support, but what makes me question this board and some of the decisions that you make, since I've been more involved since learning that we might lose our library at Fairway. I question, because I went in on Friday I do the stretch class, I use the weight room, I use it all. And I see these desks, like card tables and big computers on it. And when we talk about the camera, I do believe in, because I know how hard those gals, the staff works there to make sure everybody's safe. And those cameras allow you to, if somebody falls, I've seen people fall in the walking trail inside, or somebody, it's just very much of a safety issue. And I'm glad for the cameras. But what makes me nervous is that screen, when they moved it to the reception area right in front of the glass doors, the staff cannot see if everybody's safe, and it's an eyesore. And it also, if it were to be true, which I really would like to see evidence that Sun City's turning into this crime-ridden area, especially in the Fairway area, I want to see some documents for that, because I am at the rec centers. I have never, ever gone into a bathroom and saw needles or anything. I would like proof of that. And making us look like we're this low-life place, and we're not. And I'm in the library minimum 3 days a week. So I'm in there at different hours, different times. I have seen, well, and it is hard to tell who might be homeless and who might not, but when you walk in there, it is quiet. It is one of my favorite spots to be in. I'm in a lot of activities, but it is the library that I count on. Okay, so what I want to say is I feel Dale Webb created this vision. I'm not sure what your vision is, but losing the right, taking away amenities like the card punch. I don't want to get online for anything if I don't have to. And I'm not that old. I love the easiness. You lose your driver's license. Well, if you lose a card, it's like losing, it's what we're used to. Don't take it away. If you want to add an amenity, do. Dale Webb's vision was providing and listening to the needs and wants of its community. I don't feel like you guys listened that well last time we were here, because I don't understand why I have so much anxiety about that library lease being signed.
Excuse me. I need to move to the next person, please.
Madam President?
Sure.
Director Collins.
Yes, just one thing for you. I myself have had to call the police at the Grand Center for a person laying passed out in front of the door where you go in. And I myself picked up hypodermic needles at the Grand Center. So
I don't know about
it does happen.
It also happens at the Fairway Center as well. Just because you individually do not see it does not mean it does not happen.
Who reports it to you? It's not the staff. Who reports these needles and all that? The janitor or?
I reported it.
So part of what has happened in the discussions we've had with the libraries is that we have actually asked, our security team is giving the custodial staff instructions to document what they see. And I have seen some of the pictures of what they encounter in the bathrooms.
I would need to see it in order to believe it.
Well,
I'm there all the time.
But you're not in the men's.
right. I think that's a tribute to a very, very conscientious staff that we have that does a really, really, really good job of trying to keep things keeping things neat and tidy. Kudos to them.
I was in the Fairway Library a couple of weeks ago, and I met a homeless man sleeping on a chair in the entrance where the books are that are for sale. I take care of those books for sale, so I'm there a lot. And there was a homeless man sleeping there. And I asked if he should be there, and he said, "Oh, no, I'll leave." They are there. It's the first time
they're not there.
The first time I've run into somebody there. But it does happen.
No, I think
Now, he was cooperative, and he left. That was great.
Thank you. So the desk was moved to the front. It's not beautiful, but the purpose of the desk being there is to ensure that members are using our facilities and only members are using our facilities. You pay for that privilege. Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm Dave Clausen. My number is 154961. It's good to be here again. I am interested, first of all, I would like to say, like I usually start, I appreciate all the service that you render. It's not gone unnoticed by me how many hours and what you go through to do this, and I appreciate it, including the staff. And years ago I read a book, and I may have said this in this before, but the thing I came out from this book was this little phrase: step by step, day by day, a little bit better in every way. There are lots of things that could be better, but I think step by step, day by day, a little bit better in every way. I think we're doing that, and I think you're trying very hard to be transparent. I don't necessarily agree with all the decisions, but I'm most interested still in Mountain View. Now, I heard, Matt, that you mentioned that there was work, something came back, you've selected an architect, but I would like to better understand what that meant. Was there in the information that is being created now an understanding and an assessment already that the auditorium is or is not able to be renovated? Is it safely, can it be safely renovated? Cost is another question, but can it be done?
Dave, what we've done so far is award a contract to an architect-engineer firm to begin the process of design.
Of design what?
Of the Mountain View renovation.
Okay.
Okay? That means someone is now going to sit down and begin the design process. And in that process, as I said a long time ago, eventually all of the shareholders, stakeholders, the folks that were on the SAC, for example, will all have an opportunity at some point in the future to discuss these elements further with the new architect-engineer firm. They're just inked a contract.
Okay.
There's not going to be an answer to the kind of questions that you're asking today about what decisions the architect-engineer has made, because the first thing they have to do is sit down and go over the elements again with management, get everybody on the same pages about what's going on, and then at some point in the near future, as they roll out what they want to try to achieve first, get a hold of the end users, stakeholders.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's the thing that needs to be asked first, and it was last year this time that we said there needs to be an assessment of whether or not the auditorium could be renovated.
Somewhere in there will be an assessment.
But it doesn't have to go through this entire large contract with all of the elements to determine that part.
No, it doesn't, but they haven't reached that stage.
What?
Did you want to comment?
I wanted to comment.
Yes, please comment.
Okay, so you're putting the cart so far down the block ahead of the horse.
Well,
you really are. So give me a second.
I understood that the cart had already addressed that specific element before.
No, this is a new architectural engineering design team, okay? So they haven't even signed the contract yet.
All right.
So they will be reviewing all of Mountain View, making determinations for everything. And review means structural, mechanical, electrical, all of that. So this is months ahead of that decision, of that information even being done. So
crazy.
It just takes a while because you've got to first get the team
a year ago
on the contract.
It could have been done. That part could have been done.
The approval for the architect-engineer design was only approved by this board, second reading at the end of February.
Okay.
Okay, it did take a while to get a contract in place, I grant you that.
Yeah.
But we've got a contract in place, or be inked momentarily, to move forward on the Mountain View project, absolutely.
Okay. I'm just restating because I don't hear, as far as I appreciate what you're doing, but I'm not understanding. I did not understand, and I've been laser focused on this for over a year. I did not understand that you were waiting for a contract to start whereas I thought that there was something that was coming back in May that would tell us that we had the key question, can the auditorium be renovated? And apparently that escaped me, and I don't think I'm not the only one.
Yeah,
There are many others
it
who...
may have been a misunderstanding, and that's okay, but we're continuing on with the Mountain View project.
All right. Well, so
we have an architect engineer.
Okay, so what I want to assert then is that I would like to see, before September, some element, some assessment, some progress as to that specific question. Can the walls, can the electrical? Now, it's not a question of, is it more expensive? That's different.
Okay, I think
Thank
we
you.
understand what you're looking for.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Jean Totten, 148753. Please excuse me. I'm not feeling well, and but I have to say two things. First of all, I apologize for the outburst before, but it was so refreshing to get communication at an exchange. And even though the meeting may go longer, this is a proper way to communicate. Thank you. Now this brings sadness. You gave us an update on Mountain View. Please excuse me. I don't know I don't know how a decision could have been made already about the contract, because on February 26, we were sent an email blast, and at the special session on January 18th, we, and I was sitting up there at the time, said these things. The board will provide the design elements to the RCSC staff, who will use the elements to elicit design proposals. The staff will get the completed design proposals. The staff or the board will give a presentation of the proposals to the members and the board. We'll choose a design team to complete the project. Again, down further, we will show this to the members, and then the board will approve the plan. How did we get to a contract? Are you contracting with a design team? And
how we got to it, Ms. Totten, is we voted on it in January to hire a design team, well, actually an architect engineer firm. We had a special meeting.
Stop the clock. Thank you.
We had a special meeting with the membership to discuss this, and in fact, this board recommended only one option for the Performing Arts Center. And during that meeting, the members who were present said, no, we still want all the opportunities for where the PAC can go. And so the board came back in its final set of elements and included that, perhaps to some chagrin, but the members wanted it that way, and we gave the members what they asked for. In February, we had the second vote. We presented it a second time with these changes that came from, actually the first time we incorporated the changes after the meeting with the members. The second time, same thing was voted on. We approved it a second time in February, and then we turned it over to management to develop the documents that would be required to hire an architect engineer firm. And actually some time has passed since then, but they've gone through all of the steps that were necessary to hire an architect engineer firm. They selected an architect engineer firm, and they have moved forward, or will be moving forward moments from now, to sign that contract and move forward on the Mountain View project. But we did everything that we said we were going to do.
Except give a presentation to the members. The staff or board will give a presentation of the proposals to the members. And
go ahead.
So I think the confusing thing is that the proposals don't yet exist. okay? So, no, we don't have a schematic design that we have agreed to, Jean, that we're...
I think you all better read Preston, Connie, what you composed, wrote, gave at a board meeting twice. Thank you, Preston. I'm sorry, I don't feel well. But wow, this is bravo for before. This is awful. I gotta go sit down, I'm sorry. Can I sit?
I'm sorry, excuse me, sir, have you been in line?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great, go ahead. Sorry. I just wanted to make sure we didn't...
Before you get started, first of all, my name is Steve, 160597. I've been here for 3 years. First meeting I've been to, because everybody likes to complain about me, my age. Okay, first of all, to reiterate on the paper issue, you should be mailing this stuff out. I've met umpteen people here, don't have computers. They don't even have fancy phones. Mail out the information, proposals, whatever the case may be, to help the other people that don't get out of their house or choose not to, or don't have the technology to have the availability to see the proposals. That's just on that back end. On the card from earlier, you're telling me that this is going to be invalid when the date comes to that date of the following year. Is this correct? Now, if that is correct, why not initiate to your access cards that we already have a secondary card for any family members or so forth, so on, because you do not know who's using that card when you said they can go anytime they want. You don't know who it is. You have no idea. It could be Joe Schmo that just went and claiming somebody. Identity theft happens every day. I'm just saying on the back end of this, okay? And I want to know the cost effectiveness on moving that desk at any facility. I go to Fairway 7 days a week. You're putting their safety in line. If a homeless person comes in, they're crazy, they're mad, they're nuts. Where do they go? What do they do? They're going to be attacked. Why not, if the cost effectiveness is there, initiate a key fob system like Oakmont? And then you can now find out where everybody's going and who's using it. Technology, we have it, let's use it. But factor in the cost effectiveness. I don't have a degree. I am a retired truck driver. I'm stupid, but I have common sense, and money is common sense. I've been poor my whole life. I don't mind. That's all I'm saying. Use sense with the money. And the shop they're talking about with the evap system and your air conditioning, look into the company called Big Ass Fans. They sell 10-foot fans that can help. It ain't perfect, but it can help. Suggestions. I'm here for suggestions. And then Mountain View. How many years has there been discussion of what they're going to do to this place? I've been here 3 years. I heard 3 years before I got here. It was 3 years before that. So you're looking at how much? $100,000 a year to have somebody tell you, to give you a design on what to do? That's what, $600,000, $700,000 that's been invested but not used? That's wasted, gone, trashed. And then money left over from initiating key fobs on the buildings versus moving the desk and spending all the money for that. You could use that excess funds and help out Bell with their sauna, their hot tub. It's all about money, isn't it? I mean, this is my money too. I pay it. And you're going to raise it up. You already raised it once. You're probably going to raise it again. And you're probably going to raise it again to compensate for all the economics, the way things are going. I understand that. But use it wisely. We pay for this. People here are on fixed incomes. You're lucky if some of them may be $1,000 a month. Let's think about the money. Think about the people. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to be a jerk. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Barb Kelly, number 156517. The Best Friends Dog Club has just completed its first week of training at the Mountain View Recreation Center Auditorium indoors. Our club members say thank you to you, the board, and to you, the management team, for making this happen. The possibility of training indoors through the summer is just, we're ecstatic. The staff at Mountain View has been great, always checking in with us to see if there's anything we need. Mike was kind enough to meet us last Sunday to make sure we were getting a proper potty area for the dogs, so we appreciate that, Mike. And things are just moving forward. On June 1st, the first day we were allowed to be in your building, we had an ice cream social. It was well attended, and we spent nearly 2 hours scheduling special events that we were going to have during the summer with our members. So in addition to our training schedule, we'll be offering educational workshops and hot topics such as CPR and first aid training for your dogs, food and nutrition, travel safety, and several others. This Saturday, we're going to have a time where you can get your dog's feet measured and fitted for boots so that there's no scalding feet on the hot pavement and cause any injury. Game nights are planned, and a 4th of July bash without the fireworks are scheduled. Our top dog evaluations are going to be conducted during our social events. Our 2 class registrations last week resulted in 19 new members who are thrilled we are offering classes this summer. There's still room in our Popular Manners 1 class for anyone who'd like to join us. We hope to have our walking schedule going this week, and we really just want to express our appreciation for the indoor space this summer. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Michaela Anderson, 170-155, and I'm just doubling that, and we really do appreciate you guys and all your work you do, and I feel everyone tends to get a little negative, and we're here giving some positivity, and thanks again.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Paul Hiles, number 127710. Last meeting, you guys passed a rule change that allowed an exemption for not paying the $5,000 of PIF and SIF fee. That was, if I understand it correctly, is if 2 people are married and then one of them buys a house, then it can transfer to the survivor without paying the PIF and SIF fee. I'd like to expand that and say if you're married and inherit the house, you don't have to pay it. A couple ladies I know in that situation, they've lost more than half their income. There's no way they can come up with $5,000. So it would be good to have it in their name to possibly to insure the house, to do a reverse mortgage. And a couple of them also said there's no way you're ever going to get the $5,000 because they're just going to leave it in the dead husband's name. And I'm just curious if any of you think that's a good idea.
Madam President?
I don't know. I think it's a good idea to disregard the rules and regulations of the corporation. Director Collins?
I'm confused. The ladies, her husband died?
Yeah, and it's still in the trust or the husband's name.
It's still in the husband's name, but
yeah.
Is it a trust or in the husband's name?
I think one's a trust and one's just in the name.
Because this might cover that, Kevin, right? So it may already be covered. They need to go down to the office and check it.
Oh, okay.
So the rule, the new rule, I'm not sure that, at least what I heard you say didn't sound like it was quite right. So what we were saying was that, let's say a couple buys a home and 25 years ago, they're married, but the home was only in one of the couple's names, say in the husband's name. Okay, 25 years later, the husband dies, and the wife, who was not on the deed at the time of purchase and had actually, in the particular case that we were dealing with, had signed a disclaimer deed saying that none of her money had been used to pay the original PIF. Okay, so the rule simply said if the original PIF payer, if there's a change like that, then the new owner has to pay. And what we did was to eliminate that if they were married at the time that the original PIF was paid. Does that make sense? So that was the rule change that took place.
I studied Director Ruff's writing, and I thought it was just saying that you had to be married first, and then the dead person had to buy the house.
No. No, this is simply a situation, if you were married at the time that the original PIF was paid and one of the couple dies, no longer does the remaining spouse have to pay PIF.
Okay, I'll tell them to
Okay, all
check
right.
with the rec center. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. How you holding up? How's the $20 million worth of past due repairs doing?
Sir, can we have your name and
Oh, I'm
number?
sorry. William Brewer, 152270. I apologize for that. That was a rhetorical question, but on a more serious note, how is what's going on with the work order that was submitted to resurface the Mountain View pickleball courts? What a time to do it than right now. This is the time to get it done. Can anyone answer that question?
I'm not sure why we would be doing something to Mountain View.
The work order's been submitted. Someone here must know what's going on with the work order. If you don't, why are we here? I'm serious now. I'm not fooling around with this. I'm very serious about it. I'm also very serious about what's going on at Mountain View with those people sitting at the desk, at a chair, at a folding table in a chair. They talk about get the cart before the horse. Guys, build the facility, the place for them to work, and then move them over. Move them over there and put them in front of a folding table. That's ridiculous. That's dangerous and it's wrong. If you're going to move them, build the place, then move them. And I don't know what a coffee and juice bar is about. You're going to put vendors in there? You guys are not making sense. Can anybody answer a question I just asked?
First of all, sir, we're not calling a vendor in to do anything.
Okay, I know that.
We put the employees at the front door to ensure that the people coming in and out of our facility are members of our community. We have employees at all of our entrances. If you go to Bell, you go in the door, you're going to see employees sitting behind a desk. Okay? Those employees that had been at Fairway were way around the corner where they could not speak to or address anybody coming in the building.
I'm not arguing that. I thought it was wonderful the way it is, but I'm not a vagrant, or as you call them, homeless or whatever, somebody that's not down on their luck. I'm not one of those. I could be, but I'm not. But why do you have them at a table? Why don't you put a counter there, build the place for them to be first, and then move them over there? And then instead of putting them, have you been where they are?
I have been where they are.
Isn't that a mess? You can't deny that's a mess. That's wrong.
Sir,
what you're doing is wrong.
If there were a space there to build I understand what you're trying to say, but at the moment, we're trying to keep people coming into our facility who are members. That's how I like to view people. They're either members who pay for the privilege of using these amenities, or they are not, okay? Building them something nice, and I don't even know how to speak to that. Mr. Delazansky, do you care to speak to that?
Yeah, I spoke to it already, I think, last time, and I spoke to it again this time. I said in my opening remarks that we decided, and it's not just folding tables, there's actually a credenza there that's right in front of them, that it was better to use a temporary desk until the one that is going to be installed permanently is complete. So you may be of the opinion that that is not a good idea, but we talked to the people that actually work at the desk, we talked to the people that manage those folks, and this was thought to be a fine idea. We are trying to make sure we know who's coming into our buildings, especially buildings where there have been issues. So I understand your opinion might be that's not a good thing to have a temporary desk, but we have it until the permanent one is installed.
Okay, now, when is the permanent one going to be installed?
I don't have that date.
And
it's probably a couple months off. And one of the reasons, sir, that we did that is a lot of our issues happen during the summer. And I didn't want to wait till the end of the summer, the middle of the summer, to have the change in the location of the people that are checking people in.
Okay. Okay, now the next question, the follow-up question for that is, when you get ready to install the permanent desk, where are those people going to be?
We deal with issues like that all the time.
Where are they going to be?
They're going to be right nearby.
They're going to be right back over in the old desk
No,
until
they
that
are
one's
not.
installed, because what are you going to do, put them on the floor next to it? Come on.
They are not.
Come on.
The world has ways to solve those problems. They aren't that difficult, sir.
Yeah, I know that, but you talk about cart before the horse. That's cart before the horse right there. You know, it really is. You know what you're going to do with the cadenza or with the new area that you're putting in there. You already know what it is. So why is it not there? You know, that's my question.
It's not there because it hasn't been built yet, sir. They're working on getting something in place.
Okay, that's fine. Phil, I never got a question or an answer to my question about the work order that was submitted for Mountain View resurfacing the pickleball courts.
I'll look into that and find out. I thought all of our things that were in play, we weren't going to spend money on, you know, because they were going through the design process over the summer and fall. So I will check and see if there is a work order in for the Mountain View pickleball. Do you know when it was submitted? What date?
And say what?
Do you know what date it was submitted?
No, I do not, but I know the president of the pickleball club submitted it.
Okay, I'll check with him.
And I know he's an honest man. So I just was curious because
a request, sir, a request is not a work order. A work order means something is intended to happen. The fact that someone submits a request only means they've submitted a request.
And that's
any
why.
request for monies, they would have to be monies coming out of 2025 because the 2024 budget is already established. You're showing me a drawing, sir, and I'm saying to you, a request is a request. A request is not a work order.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I did this stuff for a living.
Thank you.
You cannot have new work orders come in and not get them completed. Your new work orders, there are more new work orders open than there are work orders being closed. That's not sustainable, folks. That's how you get $20 million behind, like we are now. And then we're wanting to build new facilities.
Excuse me, sir, your time is up.
My time's up.
And we get behind in these, we're 20 million behind because people that came before us didn't do the work that needed to be done. And I hate to say things like that, but that's the true nature of the issue.
Yeah, okay.
We're trying to fix a problem somebody else left for us.
Okay.
I'm Cindy Jacobson, 151055. I just had concerns about the Bell Pool, walking pool shut down. I just don't think it went well. I think we should prioritize those more in the cooler months when the pools aren't used much, but it did. So we went to the Fairway Pool, and I hope the Bell Pool never, turns into that, because that was in need of a lot of repair. But the one big thing that we needed in the Bell Pool was to clean the black mold off the sides of it. And we've made many comments to the maintenance people, and one of the guys even tried to convince us that it wasn't mold, but I'm from a state that has a lot of humidity and mold and stuff, so I mean, I know what mold looks like, and mold does not like sun, and it's always the sides that aren't on the sun that the black mold is there. So when we shut the pool down for a week, it was okay, so we went to Fairway, and then there was no communication at all that they extended it, closed another week. So that was really frustrating that we had to all kind of make calls up to the office. There should be somebody on the weekends that would be able to send an email out just notifying us, and that didn't happen. So the communication was a big failure. And so when we came back to the pool and to see the black mold still there after they shut it down for 2 weeks angered a lot of people that didn't get cleaned, because that was the biggest priority, and we'd made that very clear to them that the black mold was not good to be there. So nothing's been done with that. It was shut down for 2 weeks, and it's still just the mold is all there.
Mr. DeLuzansky, did you want to comment to that? And after commenting to it, can you repeat your comment that you made at the last meeting about future closings of the pool?
Sure. So the shutdown at Bell was extended a week for various issues that came up, including some pump replacement, some water drainage issues. And what I stated at the time was that these pools have not been shut down and done thorough maintenance. I mean, some people guess 4 or 5 years, maybe it's longer than that. So the plan going forward is to shut them down for 2 or 3 weeks a year. There's never a good week for everybody. So we'll try to find the best weeks that fit in all. Some people say never shut them down in the summer because that's when they get the most use. Other people say never shut them down in the winter. That's when we have the most people. So as I've learned in my role here for 8 months, I'm never going to make everybody happy all the time. So my goal is to make the majority of the members happy or happier. In terms of the actual mold, I witnessed our staff out there scrubbing with little Scotch-Brite pads, okay? One of the things that we're doing as we go through these adventures in maintenance is we're documenting processes. We're getting teams together and say, how should we have done this differently? Should we have used acid wash instead of manual scrubbing? Is there an issue with the actual surface itself being worn out that should have been repaired first? So yes, we might not get everything right the first time, but this is the first time for me in all of this adventure, and we're learning a lot, and thanks to Mike and the others involved, we're documenting what's happened right and what's happened wrong, and we're going to improve it. So I'm sorry that you see the black line there. I've been told it has nothing to do with mold, okay? So mold is Arizona is not a friendly place for mold, probably the best way to put it. I've lived in humid places. I know. I've seen mold grow overnight.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's anything else I can say that will, help you. Mike, did you have anything you could add to this conversation?
Just that we are not just ignoring it, we are working on solutions now because we just finished the big closure of the Bell Pool. We don't want to close it again, obviously. So we're putting plans together. I had our new pool guy who's got a background and expertise in this go by and take a look at it. We're meeting with the team. I met with Barry, was gone for 2 weeks. He's back today. He's got an extensive background on pools around here. So we're working and trying to find a solution immediately. Now, I just don't have any promises or commitments I can make to you. Again, I want to reiterate, though, one thing. I got a message, when I get a message back about when I send someone over there to take a look at something, it says many bathers, lots of harassment. You guys got to let these guys try to figure it out. We're trying to find solutions. We are not shrugging our shoulders and saying, tough, deal with it. That doesn't happen anymore. Those days are way past us. So just give us a chance. We are trying to make it right. It's not right. It's not up to our standards. It needs to be better, and we're going to improve the process.
In the past, you've kind of always just closed everything. I used to be a snowbird, and I'm full-time now, but in the past, you kind of did everything in the summer because of the snowbirds, and there's a lot of animosity between the two groups, which I don't think is good to pit the two groups together, and I think it'd be better just to look at when is the best time to close it. I know I love the Bell Pool. So it's like anything I could do to, I just want it up and going and looking in the best shape it can. But it just seems like I've noticed that as being a snowbird and not a snowbird, that there's a lot of animosity, that they think that it's all the snowbirds are prioritized.
We're looking into that also and considering it. We're going to do what's best for the majority of the members. If you'll notice, we didn't used to have a lot of activities here in the summer, right? We've had an event every Wednesday night the past few weeks.
Kudos to the new gal. I made a special point to say to her, she's
we're trying to do better.
An excellent job. People have commented about her too. Don't want to just complain, but she's really gone above and beyond what so that's good to see. But it would be nice to find somebody to send emails out on the weekends, because right now there was no communication. The staff was frustrated with us, and it's like, I don't know if we could get some volunteers to send emails out on the weekends.
Thank you, ma'am.
We won't need to. We do. There was a special situation when that closure got extended that would cause the miscommunication. I'll own that. It's my fault. We will be better in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to say one other thing.
Yes, sir.
You know, speaking about pools, say these pools, a lot of them haven't had their water changed in 5 years or more. We're going to be shutting down the pool here at Sundial. It was scheduled for 2 weeks. We found other things that need to be done. It's going to be down for 3 weeks. Now, again, if you wait 10 years to do something, it might have to take longer to get it done when you go back and do it. So just, you know, fair warning.
I bought my place in July of 2019, and the Bell Pool was closed then, so that's, I think, the last time.
So Sundial will be down for 3 weeks. I'm not sure exactly when, but I think it's coming up soon, next month.
Lorraine Shalaba, 145957. It was really impressive to hear the staff that you've hired to communicate and all their qualifications, which I'm sure come with a very high cost in salaries, but it's impressive from that end. But I want to share with you the perspective from the residents' end. The Bell Pool was supposed to be closed for a week. No communication. We went to the Bell Pool a week later, found the signs on the door, closed, can't come here today. Kind of disappointed, said come back next week. So I got a call from a friend of mine who was working out at the gym and said, hey, your Bell Pool that was supposed to be closed for an additional week opened early. There's people in the pool. Really? So I went through my email again, no communication, didn't let anybody know. It was kind of frustrating. Again, we went to the pool with the anticipation the pool was going to be cleaned. The black line all around the pool and the walking pool is still there. So I spoke to the people who were at the pool, and they said, oh yeah, it's going to be there forever because they already sealed it. It's sealed into the finish. So I don't know who cleans without cleaning, but takes the additional step to seal it, seal the dirt into it. Now my question is, does not someone speak to the people who are doing the work at the pool? I mean, I do this at my house when I have a contractor come in. This is the scope. This is what I want you to do. This is the objective. So how can you seal it in without cleaning it? Very frustrating. So I know that you've moved to the portals. So I went to the portal on Saturday. I sat down, I filled out the form, and it says that you have to be acknowledged, otherwise you get kicked out. So I'm looking at my phone, and you have to tell everybody that when they sign up at the portal, you have to bring your phone because you're going to get an email from RCSC. So I did that. The first time, I timed out, couldn't confirm. Did it the second time, timed out. Couldn't confirm. Did it the third time, timed out, couldn't confirm. Finally, on the fourth time, it was successful and it confirmed. And then the gal behind the desk said, oh yeah, we have this card where we're having trouble with the internet here. I'm just appalled. You know, I'm only 70, but there are people in their 80s, 90s, who don't have cell phones, who don't have emails, who are very adverse to technology. And I think you're ignoring a whole sector of people who live in Sun City, and you're not taking their feelings and their abilities into consideration with the plans that you're moving ahead. So I'm this is the view from the people looking into what you're saying is going on. It's, as far as I'm concerned, you've got lots and lots and lots of hiccups.
Thank you.
Susan Bjork, 112650. Now I want to talk about what I wanted to talk about, but first I'll add a few things. with regard to the passes, clearly there are people that want to be heard, and I know that you wanted to better the situation with the online system, but I would really, I think it would go a long way if you considered a little bit more flexibility with those passes, given the changes. That's one thing. Second, the pool. Mike, the explanation you gave was great. I mean, you've consulted with a pool guy. You're trying to work with them to get it resolved. That's what we want to hear. So that's great. Jean, I don't think that you were in the twilight zone. So this is what I want to talk about. When Mountain View blew up, and then you came up with the board of directors came up with the elements. What was communicated to us is that you are going to engage 4 architects to provide design or proposals of design, and then choose from those proposals who would be given the contract. If that's not exactly what happened, I think what would go a long way, Matthew, is to explain what exactly did happen with those 4 when you went out for whatever you went out for. Was it bids? Did you provide them elements? That's what we were under the understanding of, and they would do a high-level look and say, this is what we think we could do. This is what we think we can do, and then you would be selecting from there. That's kind of the understanding I think everybody has. So I think if you help us understand what actually did happen and why did you select the contractor that you selected, that might go a long way in the transparency of communication, just because of the miscommunication, apparently. I think people would really value that and be appreciative of the fact that you're explaining what happened with these 3 other architects that you sought after. So that's just a suggestion. I think it would go a long way because that's the understanding people had. So.
Yes. Mr. DeLazansky, do you want to respond, or do you want me to give a general response? What's your?
Either way is fine with me. What we did is what we were asked to do. We took those elements and we turned them into a document to request basically someone to tell us why we should choose them to be our architect engineering group. We received 4 of them back. We did our normal due diligence, and we went through and we put them all in a matrix, and we went through the decision-making process, looking at all the pros and cons, and took all that information and gave it to the board with our recommendation on who to choose. That's how this process works. Now we're at the point where we're going to work with them to finalize a contract for them to actually start working on it. And once we get us, as I said in my opening comments, we will work on that probably in the next week or so. And then from that will come out a schedule that will talk about how this process is going to work. We won't be to the point where we're showing anything in terms of what the potential options are from the architect that was chosen until sometime in the fall, and that could be September, October, somewhere in there. So that is the standard process that you go through to pick an architect. So have I missed anything, President Fimmel?
No, I pretty much covered it. Hang on.
I think one potential misunderstanding is that these 4 that responded to us gave us their high-level proposals and said, this is sort of, here's a map and this is what we would recommend. That's not what happened. Exactly. Okay, so what happened is that we got, the Triarch actually gave us 4 possibilities, none of which I think is going to be the final choice, but they were the only ones that really came to us and said, these are things that we could imagine. What about if you tried this, or what if you tried that? The others were actually just trying to convince us that their reputations were strong enough for us to hire them. So they were presenting us with a lot of information about these are the projects that were done, these are the subcontractors that we work with, these are our personnel, this is how much experience we have, and so forth. We did not get a bunch. We did not get 4 different sets of projects, and we said, oh, well, we like this one, and that's why we're going with them. So just as a point of clarification, as much as we might have liked to have had that been the case, it's not what happened.
Thank you, Karen. That's exactly what I think this group needed to hear. Appreciate it.
And at some point, and I don't know what point, but we'll have the architect engineer, we'll do some kind of planning session or maybe special session, I'm not sure, too soon to tell, with this architect engineer so they can introduce themselves to you and give you an overview of what direction they're heading in. Yes, ma'am.
Hi. My number is 144364. My name is Kathleen Strawn. I've been out here since the beginning of 2018 and been doing water aerobics that whole time. I've been to every pool in Sun City and regularly do water aerobics at Mountain View and Oakmont, and people really like those pools. They like, well, it used to be salt water, but that pool's a little different than the others, and it's also much cleaner than the others. So you might talk to the people who work at Oakmont on how they keep it clean. Bell Pool is huge, it's nice, it's sunny, but the walkway around it has some cracks. Things have settled over the years. And when you close that pool to rebuild it, oh my gosh, it's gonna be terrible for us in water aerobics because there's 60 people in that class. And I don't know where we can go to another pool that is that big. I've done water aerobics inside here, so I know the big pools. But and also when that's closed, what are families going to do when they bring their children? Because that's one of the pools that people can take their families to. Will that be changing while the pool is down because it's being remodeled? I wasn't here during another remodel. The other thing I'd like to say is I also use the walking pool at Bell. Have been there the last few evenings, and it is busy. People are out there when it's 110 degrees out. We don't want to do our normal walks, and I walk at Lakeview all the time because I'm close to it. But it's hard to do that when it's 110. But I can go to Bell, and I can walk outside, and it's gorgeous, and I really hope they can put a pool like what you have at Bell at Mountain View. Thank you.
Thank you. I think one comment I would make, and correct me if I'm wrong here, the Oakmont pool is an oxidizing pool as compared to the other pools, which are saltwater pools. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
They're not really saltwater pools. They're chlorine pools. It's it's the source of the chlorine that's different at Marinette.
For those of us who are chemists, chlorine is a salt, but okay.
Yeah.
So they're chlorine pools, but the Oakmont pool is an oxidizing pool. We're testing Oakmont as an oxidizing pool.
Yes.
And I think the biggest problem we faced is not the pool, but the fact that it's hard to get contractors that do oxidizing pools.
We've had some difficulty with the one that installed it, yes.
Okay, and certainly if we close or take down a pool where there are children permitted, we would form some hours at some place for children to be at a different pool.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
Jacob Zarember, 39772. And I'm not given the full 3 minutes yet.
Oh, sorry. I apologize.
Thank you. I have a couple of comments and a couple of questions. First of all, during the last member exchange, everyone on the board and on the management kept repeating about the events, the incidents at the rec centers. And the words came up several times, it does happen. It does happen. Well, people have asked, where's the proof of that? Where are the incident reports? We don't want names and addresses and phone numbers. We just want to know where these incidents took place and what happened. Director Collins, I think, just mentioned that there were 2 incidents at the Grand Center. Well, what does that have to do with Fairway Library and with Bell Library? You created these incidents that do happen. They do happen. And all of a sudden, the board decided and the management decided to close down Fairway Library and Bell Library.
It's not true.
Well, it became a big uproar. As you saw last time, we had a member exchange, and you also got a petition signed by roughly 3,500 people that we don't want the libraries closed. Back then, there should have been some effort to at least cooperate and communicate with the Maricopa County Library District to see what can be done to keep these libraries open. The second thing I want to find out about is when the suggestion came from the general manager about putting in security at both libraries, where are these folks going to be placed? Are they going to be at the entrance? Bell Library has an entrance, so I can see that that's a possibility. But Fairway Library has a different entrance than the rec center. And are these folks going to be uniformed? Are they going to be undercover? Are they going to be burly people, male or female, who are going to take care of business? Has that been decided? Or is that a confidential problem?
Director Nettersheim, did you have something you wanted to say?
I have been involved in the library lease negotiations. The security personnel are hired by the Maricopa Library District. It is their purview, what they wear, where they sit. We have requested that they do a circuit of the library to ensure that if people are using the restrooms inappropriately, that they're able to address that. But you would Maricopa County Library District hires them, and it is their responsibility to dictate their performance and how they will behave within the library. But this is a library district. You have to understand that they will not be doing anything that would be inappropriate. They have security in other libraries, and they have not had issues with that. So I think we can all agree that we would trust Maricopa County Library District to hire people that are appropriate to be in the libraries and provide the security necessary. And with regard to how we responded, we immediately started to talk to Maricopa County Library District when this came up. We really did. We were talking with Jeremy, which anybody from the Friends will tell you is who you talk to at Maricopa County Library District, to discuss how to do the lease, what to have in the lease. We've been working with them. Jeremy is very positive. We are very positive. We have no reason to believe that this will not be resolved in a timely manner. So that would be my answer to your questions about the security guards and what they will do and what their purview will be. But with regard to negotiating with the library, from within the first week, we were meeting to discuss this.
So we are guaranteed by the board and management that it will be resolved and we will have the libraries for an additional 5 years. Is that guaranteed?
Well, I think you heard some assurances today from Vice President McAdam, who is leading the leadership here for the board.
Assurances are not guarantees. We want guarantees.
Death and tax. As the board, we have every intent to sign this lease.
There have been meetings and meetings and meetings.
The library district, we can't speak for them, but we can speak for ourselves. We will sign the lease.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President.
One moment, please, Director Collins. I see we're coming to the 3 o'clock hour. Ms. McLean. Ms. McLean, right? Maybe not. We're going to make you the last. Shirley, right?
Surely.
She's the only one who hasn't spoken yet.
Yes, no, she's going to speak last. You're going to be the last speaker.
But she should be first because.
Oh, did they come first? Bring you to the front. Bring you to the front, Ms. McLean. Come. You haven't spoken yet, and some other people have, I think. That's what I'm being told anyway.
Cheryl McLean, 100212. I have a few things today, and I finally wrote them down. First of all, I don't believe we as members are kept in the dark, and I believe there is transparency, and I believe you all are listening. And I mean, some of you may not agree, but if you came to every meeting, maybe you would see it, but I see it. On the Thunderbird property, we're a 503c organization, is that correct?
703C4.
Correct?
C4.
Okay, well, I was thinking, if it was purchased, maybe we'd be put in a different tax bracket? No? Okay, forget what I said there then. When we purchased the Grand property, was there openness to discuss whether or not we should buy it?
No.
Okay, now there is. There's discussion. And I think that is something we need to give all of you kudos about, and I am for buying it. And the reason I am for buying it is because we don't know who else could buy it. We don't know what could be put on that property. And if I lived in that neighborhood, I would much rather have an RCSC property there than a drug facility where you've got people coming from outside the community in there. As someone brought up assessments and how it's increased. Again, if you had been at the meetings, you'd know that had been discussed for quite some time, on and on and on. Library, I think today it's been decided that it will most likely, and nothing in life is guaranteed, but this is probably going to happen. So to me, I'd say give it a break. It's a dead horse. And as far as incident reports, if people are so insistent on seeing an incident report, you could publish something redacting the names. On the facility in Thunderbird, there was a question about asbestos. Do you all know that most of the homes in Sun City have asbestos in it? We had to have our walls torn down because there was asbestos in the taping. As far as the vintage garage, have you thought about mini splits? Besides, somebody brought up that fan, and I think that's a great idea. Thank you for the dog training facility. I'm using it, going to be having my dog in classes twice a week. Mountain View, a lot of complaints, it's taken so long. The old decisions or non-decisions were made by an old board, long time ago, an old management personnel, Jan Eck. And somebody, may I bring my last point up? Somebody brought up about videos, but she couldn't tell where it was. Well, my husband has an old saying, if there's no proof, it doesn't exist. And I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm just saying that is something that you need to think about. So thank you all for your time.
Thank you. And the line keeps getting longer. I was trying to say that we were going to end, but if we're going to continue, some of us may need to take a break.
Yeah.
So
How many people are in line?
how many people, let's take a break. Let's take a 10-minute break. We've been going on for 2 hours now.
I don't want to get up until I'm told I can get up.
Thank you very much. We'll return. Please, state your name and member number, please.
Steve, 160597. I just want to ask a question to, is Mike your name?
No, my name's Matthew.
Matthew, sorry, my apologies. They've talked about this fairway thing, and I bring this up. This is a very big thing to me about safety. I used to build houses with my father 25 years ago, and you're talking about this desk thing. You did move the desk. You did move them. Then you have to move them again. Then you got to move them again. I have never, ever rebuilt a bathroom and not know what I'm going to do first and then do it before you use the bathroom? Why is this an issue that you move the desk to move the desk to move the desk? That's 3 moves. It's money. Our money, everybody, okay? Why was it done that way? It just doesn't make sense. Common sense is stronger, I'm sorry. And number 2, still, the safety issue. Why was there not a key fob thought put to it? Was there an option? Did you give an option? Did you ask anybody about an option? Not everybody here has email. Not everybody here is technological savvy. But you didn't send out paperwork, nothing. If they don't come to the meeting, oh, tough luck. We just vote with who's here? That's not fair to the people now, is it? And I'm not blaming you. I'm asking everybody, please don't take it that way. I'm not messing with you, dude. But why were there no options given?
So there's one thing I'd like to say about the fairway, moving the desk. I think the explanation has been given that we didn't want to have the summer pass without having more oversight about who was entering our facilities. But I do want to just point out something that has been maybe not an intended, but a corollary benefit that has come from that. By virtue of having the ladies there, I've been there and I've talked to them, and they're actually very, very pleased. But they have said that there are 2 issues that they have run into that were not able to be anticipated necessarily. One is that there's a very strong echo effect where they are right now. So where they were before, not so much, but we're realizing that in that location, if that's where we choose to have it in the future, we're going to have to think about how to do some dampening kind of things in terms of the sound reverberations. Another thing is that as the summer has brought its hot temperatures, increased temperatures, when you have that double set of sliding glass doors, you have times when they are both open and there are blasts of hot air that are coming in. Okay, well, that wasn't something that we had necessarily thought of, but is something that we will take into consideration. And by virtue of having this temporary situation set up, we're actually able to sort of try things out and figure out what we need to do before we make the final build, and to take those things into consideration. So not sure if that will make you feel any better about it, but there are actually some benefits that are coming from having this intermediary stage right here.
Well, I apologize, but hot air coming in, that's an excuse. That's not a safety issue. That is not a guideline. That is something that happens to every single person when they walk in and out of their house, their car, or any other business. With that being said, safety should be your first concern. If somebody comes into the building, what can they do? When they were put with the desk where it was, 30 extra feet, they had a room they can go into, lock the door, call the cops. Now, if somebody does come in, which I still haven't seen the numbers of how many vagrants come into all these facilities. Oakmont, I get it. But Fairway, please. Okay, anyways, safety should be your first concern. If somebody comes in, big word, if, what do they do? What can they do? Are they going to be able to do anything? Do they have hand-to-hand combat? No. These are people that are much older in age. Yes, I am still a nice age. But that should be the factor here, not a hot air.
Can we just stop the clock for a second? Matthew, do our staff go through any kind of training with respect to security issues and how they should respond if they are confronted by a difficult situation?
Some, but not enough. I mean, we are not law enforcement. We are not security, okay? We are greeters.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
As the world changes, we may have to change too.
Yes, I
And
agree.
yes, we thought about fobs, and we've thought about many other things. So don't think that what we do is without a lot of thought. The reason that we put the temporary desk there is, has already been stated, the 2 concerns with moving that was getting the electricity and the internet there. Once the electricity and the internet were in place, then we could go to a temporary solution until we build the more permanent structure. So that's, I know you might not agree with that, but that's what happened, and that's why.
I'm just trying to understand the logic behind it. You're spending 3 times the money to move people back and forth.
It's not true.
You got to move everything 3 times.
It is not true. It's just not true.
You're going to build the desk while they're sitting there. Is that correct? And the computers will be there while the desk is being built.
The desk will be built off-site and installed.
But they still have to move from that position. Either way, it doesn't make a difference. It's safety. Somebody comes in and they pose a threat. What do they do?
It's true in every one of our facilities.
Right. That's why other places have key fobs. They have security, which we are not going to have. But a key fob has got to be a lot cheaper.
Have you been to Oakmont?
Yes, I have. I've been to all of them.
Okay, you have your key fob to get into Oakmont?
No, I do not.
Okay, well, we are moving in that direction, sad to say, of tightening our security measures.
Okay, but wouldn't it be cheaper to do it now than build $30,000 desk or whatever it costs? Because evidently, I looked. I cannot find anything telling me how much it's costing versus the key fob system.
The key fob system is way more expensive. And there's also a large administrative component. So I understand your concern. We've addressed all these issues. We have a safety team that is looking at these things that we consult with as we move forward. So I understand that you don't think maybe we're making the right decision, but you also don't have all the information and don't know what's gone into it, the decision.
I'm just trying to figure out how much money's being spent of our money, all of us.
Well, we
everybody
got the credenza out of our warehouse. It was excess furniture, and we reused the 2 folding tables. So in terms of extra money being spent, it was zero.
Who's building it?
I'm talking about the temporary one.
I'm asking you what's it going to cost to build it, is what I'm asking you. What's the cost?
I don't have
versus
that
a key
number,
fob?
just as I don't have the completion date in my head.
That's why it shouldn't have been done until that was decided, wasn't it? I don't buy a house until, I don't pay the money for a house until I see the
Okay,
house.
we're going,
All right, that's fine.
thank you. Director Collins.
The one thing that, here is the people where the desk was moved for safety. We took the step to immediately go to the safety aspect because that's what we were worried about the most. We're worried about what goes in there, how we build it after. But the initial thing is just make it safe and keep the people out because if they don't belong there, we don't want them surprising our workers in the middle of the night when they're trying to clean the bathrooms.
And it would be nice if we could fob every door. It would be even nicer if we could RFID chip every card to come through the door. But all of that costs money, and we're very sensitive to the fact that our members would like us to keep costs low. So all the things you're talking about have been under consideration and remain under consideration. Yes, ma'am.
Claudia Wilson, 145604. I want to talk about incident reports, and this has nothing to do with the library. I use the Fairway Fitness Center. I worked with a personal trainer there. I had a routine. I was going in the afternoon 3 times a week. And on one occasion, something bad happened. And I was using the machine, and another card holder came over and interfered with the machine. Sorry, just remembering it upsets me. Interfered with the machine, and in such a way that I could have been badly hurt. I went downstairs to the desk. I told them what had happened. They asked me to fill out an incident report, which I did. I didn't know the person's name, and the incident report asked for that. I described him. They didn't really know who I was referring to. I thought I was going to have a panic attack. I had to go over where the TV is located and those sofas and sit down and just try to catch my breath. I didn't even feel like I could drive home. I was very upset. So I thought, well, I'll try going a different time. So the following week, I went in the morning. He was there again, and I said to the people at the staff at the desk, I said, could there be a monitor up there to prevent people from getting hurt, particularly from other card members? And they said, no, we don't put monitors in the fitness centers. We trust the card members to behave appropriately. So I stopped going. I didn't go to another center because Fairway was convenient for me. It was close to my house. I liked the way the machines were set up. That's where my routine had been crafted, and so going somewhere else, I probably would have had to have another routine made for me by the personal trainer. And I didn't feel safe going there. I didn't go back for a year. I just started going back last week, and I don't see this person again. Oh, let me backtrack, I'm sorry. The second time I went, he was there in the morning, and I was going through my routine. I was keeping an eye on him, and he did the same thing to someone else. And so I rushed downstairs. I told the staff, he's still up there. The first time he had left, right after he had interfered with my machine, he left. And so even though I rushed downstairs, I couldn't point him out. He was gone by that time. So the second time, I got a staff member to come upstairs with me. I pointed him out. Oh, yeah, they knew exactly who he was. I said, I don't want to know his name. I just need some reassurance that this is not going to keep happening. And so they had me fill out a second incident report. I said, how am I going to know what happens? And they said, well, someone from management will address it and they will get back to you. I never heard a word. That's why I stopped going.
Madam President.
One moment, Mr. Collins. Are you done, ma'am?
Not quite.
Please.
Just lost my train of thought. I stopped going because I did not feel safe to go. And I don't want to know the person's name. All I want to know from you people is that you have addressed the issue. For all I know, you just took that piece of paper and threw it in the trash and said, well, too bad. I mean, I don't have any way of knowing, and I didn't have any way of knowing that it wouldn't happen again, since this person apparently practically lives there, because he's there in the afternoon, he's there in the morning. The staff said he's here every day. And so I didn't feel safe going back there. Is that the kind of atmosphere that's acceptable in the fitness centers?
Well, ma'am, what I can probably advise is you gave us your name and number. We'll ask Mr. D. Lazansky and his staff to look into the incident reports that you filed.
This was a year ago.
You have,
Madam President.
oh, you have the incident reports.
We hang on to them for longer than.
We do hang on to the incident reports. Director Collins, do you have some?
Yes. Madam, the reason an incident report is confidential. You won't know what happened to that person. But if you turn him in 2, 3, first time he's going to get a verbal, second time he's going to get a written usually, third time is going to be a suspension. He might have already gotten enough where it came in front of us and we suspended him for an amount of time. But they are confidential incident reports, and no one knows what happened to that person except for that person. If he wants to tell you, he can.
No, I mean, I'm not talking
I'm just saying, that's the way incident reports work.
No, but all I needed from you was an email, a simple email saying, we got your incident report, it's being addressed. Is that too much to ask for?
No, if you can come up with a date, we can find out if it was turned in, the incident report, we can do that. But as far as finding out what was done to that person, you're not going to get that. I'm sorry, but those are the rules.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. The microphone's turned off.
Here, try that one.
So I would just like to say I'm very sorry that you had that experience. That's not at all what we tolerate, accept, and we want to fix those kind of problems. So I am sorry also that you didn't get a response to just even an acknowledgement that your incident report had been received. I think that that would be a nice step for us to be able to take. But as was mentioned earlier, we are increasingly in a situation today where people are taking liberties with the way that they behave and assuming that they have the right to do that, and they owe nobody any respect or any acknowledgement of their own personhood. And I'm really sorry. We want to fix that, and I think everybody here hears that and understands that when that happens, we need to take action. And we're actually in the process right now, I think, Matthew, of designing some signs that we want to have put up in all of our public spaces, simply saying that this kind of behavior will not be tolerated. And if you commit this kind of behavior, you're likely to be suspended or even arrested if it reaches a certain level. So I think I just want to say we understand that it can be a problem. I'm really sorry that it happened to you, and I hope that nobody else in our community has to experience that again.
What I'm hearing you say is that you are more concerned with addressing behavior from non-card holders, such as the homeless, than you are from card holders who you have more control over.
No.
I didn't hear that anywhere in there.
These are all conduct reports.
What I heard is that
of
we have a disciplinary, our bylaws tell us what to do in instances of disciplinary issues. And we follow our bylaws, which start with you filing a report. And then if it requires a hearing, it has a hearing. But you are not going to get that information because that information is confidential. But we should be acknowledging that you submitted an incident report, and I would have to defer that to the corporate office. You also could have gone to the corporate office well, I'm not going to send you to the corporate office, but the corporate office could have advised you if your incident reports had been received from the facility.
I was following the instructions the staff on site gave me.
We believe that. And again, I'm also sorry that you had to suffer this process.
And I can't give you a date from when it was. It was about a year ago. It's got my name on it. I don't know about the person, the second one, the second incident report I filed when he did it again. The staff may have filled that in because they did identify him. But they didn't tell me, and I didn't want to know his name. I didn't need to know his name.
He might have already come in front of us, and we might have already done punishment.
Well,
these are conduct reports that I have. You can't believe how many of these we get in the COC. I mean, the people in the last 2 years are mean, rude. I can't tell you. Every little thing is a major thing that is the most important thing to them. They write you up for your color of your shoes.
Well, I was physically in danger. This was not every little thing.
Mr. Delazansky mentioned earlier today some of the changes that have occurred and some of the actions that management is taking to try to resolve these ever-increasing incidents. And yes, Director.
Cloudy, correct? Your name is Cloudy? Okay. I'm really sorry that happened to you. Having been in a similar situation myself where I was frightened, not here, but in another place, I understand exactly how that impacted you, and I'm sorry that happened to you here.
Thank you.
What I would like to tell you is that everybody on this board, from anybody I've spoke to, cares tremendously about member safety. It doesn't matter who's threatening your safety. Whether it's a member or a non-member, we care about your safety. That's why some of the decisions that are being made, while not totally comfortable for all of us, given, we grew up in a different time, we're making those decisions because we do care about member safety. We care about your safety. We care about everybody's safety. So please understand that we can take this and look into, can we actually just do a quick email back saying, hey, we got your comment, we got the incident report. We are researching it. I know from talking to our safety and compliance manager, she is 100% focused on this. She is passionate about it because I have had those conversations with her. So please know that we're aware that members and non-members are putting some of our members in a position where they feel unsafe. And we are acting on it and trying to come up with the right processes and procedures so that everybody feels safe.
Well, I'm not a litigious individual, but that doesn't mean someone else might not be. The next time you may be seeing a lawsuit, particularly if you don't have any back and forth communication to let the person who is in danger know that at least you're aware of it and you're taking steps. If you just have crickets, like it happened to me, just crickets, you're going to be hearing from somebody's lawyer.
Right. Thank you for your comment.
Jean Totten, 148753. I wasn't able to attend the last board meeting, so I wasn't able to pick up the paperwork or talk on the motion regarding Quail Run and the money that was allotted to be spent. and I think most of you can see this. This is the PIF project 2021 board meeting, and this is still in effect. Am I correct?
Is it from November of 21?
Well, let me.
So we know that there has not been anything passed since then, but we all know that that is not what we're operating under because we're in the process of coming up with a new one.
Okay, that's good. I just wanted to make sure. So nothing has been changed. You haven't voted or changed anything. All right. On here, it says that 2027 through, you know these dates, I'm sure, 2031, no, I'm sorry, 2030, whatever, the Arizona Department of Water Management Plan Gulf Course water reduction. And I believe it came up to about $30 million. In the chart that you put forth in your motion, I don't remember who made it, there was something about audio and patio. And because these figures were never broken down, they were just a huge figure. And so, yes, we're going to spend $30 million maybe, but you never broke them down per center or. So I don't know if a patio and audio replacement belongs in the ADZ water business. That's a statement. And so I'll let you chew on that. The second thing is we don't agree on my previous information that I gave you regarding what you mentioned to us, both in writing and in person. Some of you have not agreed with me. So I just want to remind you that you also made some statements at board meetings or at meetings. And if they're not going to be honored, then you should probably change what you said. You said if the PAC moves to Lakeview, the cost to build the PAC will come out of the Mountain View PIF budget. President Fimmel said that. And also, I believe, Preston, you made a statement that the lawn bowling, the shuffleboard, and the mini golf at Lakeview will not be touched. You need to go back and read or listen to what you have said at meetings so that we can be guaranteed that we're still involved in the process.
You are still involved in the process. You'll continue to be involved in the process. Currently, we're working on a 5-year plan. There's a 5-year plan team. I don't know if anybody wants to speak to that. And Preston, Director Keist, did you want to say anything about Quail Run?
I have a couple things I need to say. Am I on? The money that was added on the Quail patio for the audio and the furniture was a priority from the Golf Advisory Committee, and that's why it was added into the budget. It has nothing to do with water resources. It has to do with the renovation of Quail itself. But that was a priority that came up on a priority list that came out of the Golf Advisory Committee. So it's not part of ADWR, but if you're going to do that, the best time to do it is when you've got the whole course torn up anyhow. So that seemed like the best time to do that specific.
But we never saw the division of the $30 million, how much was going to each golf course.
You will probably see that better in the 5-year plan when it's submitted.
You're going to divide out the costs of each golf course in the...
I would think we would divide out the cost of all the items in the 5-year plan.
Yes.
Okay.
So there is a draft, Jean, that is circulating right now among committees, a very small group of people because it's not been finalized. But it does actually have a different line item for every golf course.
Perfect.
For ADW.
But then isn't this premature?
No, it's part of the plan.
No, because Quail Run.
No.
The second
No, because
motion that would be voted.
Quail irrigation system is almost at a failure state, and it needs to be addressed now. It's not something we could wait on. So there are a lot of issues with that. One of them is that we are leaking water and money at Quail Run because the irrigation system was not maintained correctly for years, and it has to be replaced now.
Have we ever thought about closing down a golf course temporarily.
We're not
It
going
will
to,
be closed down temporarily as we're doing the renovations.
it'll
which will
have to be
start.
closed to be fixed.
Yes.
And we don't view it as a golf project, we view it as an ADWR project.
Yeah.
But I do want to just say that the draft PIF plan that's out there separates out ADWR things from other things. So there's Riverview is in desperate need of a new maintenance building.
Right.
Okay, there's a separate line item for that that's kept separate from ADWR. Okay, so
Perfect.
and we actually did see a breakdown of the quail course of how that $6 million figure was put together, all the different components of that. We did see that as part of the information that went along with the motion that passed to have that work done.
Okay.
So
It was a 120-page document that came out of the architect that has everything itemized out of it. So yeah, we have seen that.
I wasn't there. I saw the little table, and I just never saw it broken down. So I didn't know how you could come up with that figure and include audio and patio, but that's...
Thank you.
Hi, Ruth Mackay, 159538. I just wanted to find out a little bit more information on Mountain View. You mentioned that in the future there will be some communication with the members and yourselves. Has any thought been given of how that will happen? Will it be town halls, or do you not know yet?
Too soon to tell.
Thanks.
Anyone else? There being no further member comments, the annual member meeting is on March 11th, 2025, here at Sundial at 6 p.m. The next Board of Directors meeting will be on June 27th, here at 9 a.m. The next exchange meeting will be here on September 9th at 1 p.m. Next exchange meeting is at 1 p.m. on September 9th. There being no further business and without objection, this meeting will be adjourned. Please remember to turn your electronic devices back on. Thank you.
This is a copyrighted production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.